Okay, the next item is a presentation on the financial guarantee program for nuclear substance, prescribed equipment, and Class II nuclear facility licenses. It's a mouthful. As outlined in CMD 14M44 and 14M44.A. Understand, toujours, Monsieur Rajabal?
Oui, merci, Monsieur le Président. Est-ce que vous pourriez nous laisser juste peut-être une minute pour nous installer?
Absolument.
OK, merci. Peut-être que je peux commencer pendant que nous préparons la présentation PowerPoint. Alors, je suis André Gimbal, encore une fois, directeur général responsable de la réglementation des substances nucléaires. With me today are Mr. Peter Funderek, Director of the Nuclear Substances and Radiation Devices Licensing Division, Mr. Paul Matthews, Licensing Project Officer in Mr. Funderek's division, Mr. Daniel Schnob, Director General of the Finance and Administration Directorate, Mr. Pierre Souligny, Director of Accounting Systems and Controls Division, and Mr. Benoit Labelle, who is the Chief of Internal Control and of Accounting in Mr. Souligny's division. Today marks an important step in the process of bringing financial guarantees to all licensees. This has been an admittedly long process due to, in large part, to the considerable efforts CNSC staff made to consult with licensees, solicit feedback, and work with interested parties to determine an appropriate solution satisfying to both the CNSC and industry. As a result, staff is proposing a financial guarantee mechanism that is robust, affordable, and one which will provide a sufficient level of protection to the CNSC and Canadians, while keeping with the direction of the Commission that all licensees establish a financial guarantee in relation to their regulated activities and facilities. The presentation today will be made by Mr. Paul Matthews and is for the information of the Commission, as there is no regulatory decision to be made at this time. The presentation will outline the details of the proposed financial guarantee program, and this information provided today will be shared with all licensees as part of the continuing comprehensive outreach program. Through this process, licensees will be able to make informed submissions to the Commission when CNSC staff come forward with a request to the Commission that the financial guarantee provision be added to all licenses, as you will hear during the presentation. So please, Mr. Matthews, thank you.
Good afternoon. It's Paul Matthews for the record. I'm a licensing project officer and the director of nuclear substance regulation. In today's presentation, I'll be reviewing the concepts of a financial guarantee and why staff from the directorates of nuclear substance regulation and finance and administration are here today. Staff will review the initial approach as published in discussion paper DIS 11-01, which I will simply refer to as the discussion paper from now on, as well as outreach efforts, consultation, and feedback. Based on the results of consultation and valuable feedback obtained, CNSC staff undertook a review of the initial financial guarantee approach with respects to alternatives available that would meet the requirements of the Commission, but would also address concerns expressed by stakeholders. The result of this new reconsideration is a new approach for financial guarantees, which I will present today. A CNSC licensee is expected to meet all regulatory requirements from the issuance of a license up to and including the revocation. A financial guarantee is seen as a tangible commitment that funds will be available for potential future remediation in situations such as bankruptcy. The Commission has the authority under the Nuclear Safety and Control Act to require a financial guarantee from any licensee to ensure that a licensee can meet financially their future obligations to protect health and safety of persons and the environment. Financial guarantees are currently in place for major facilities such as power and research reactors, uranium mines and mills, waste, and other facilities. The financial guarantees associated with these facilities continue to be adequate and robust and are not part of this new financial guarantee program. Financial guarantees avoid transferring a licensee's obligation to the Crown and, by extension, the Canadian taxpayer. Although financial guarantees have been in place for some time with respect to the major facilities, they have not been extended to licensees in the Directorate of Nuclear Substance Regulation. EnviroPac was a former CNSC licensee where strong regulatory action had to be taken, culminating in the revocation of their license in 2008. Disposal of nuclear substances and radiation devices through an order of the federal court was not completed until early 2011. The events surrounding EnviroPac focused the Commission's attention on Crown liability as a result of costs associated with this type of cleanup. In December 2010, Commission directed CNSC staff to consider financial guarantees for all licensees. The desired outcome of a financial guarantee is the assurance that funds will be available in case of licensee default for the safe termination of activities, including disposal of all sealed sources, disposal of all radiation devices, disposal of any unsealed nuclear substances, and remediation and return of areas that were unsealed substances were used to public use. The existence of a financial guarantee does not remove the obligation of a licensee or a trustee to safely terminate licensed activities, but it assures that funds will be available. The discussion paper was published on the CNSC website in March 2011 with the stated policy aim that all licensees were to have a financial guarantee. The discussion paper laid out an initial model for a financial guarantee program, which I'll now describe. The program was formula-based for ease of calculation. It was flexible for those licensees that did not meet the model, and most importantly, the model was robust. The program allowed for calculation of a financial guarantee that was based on a licensee's inventory of sealed sources, radiation devices, prescribed equipment, as well as rooms and laboratories where open-source nuclear substances were used. The cost factors associated were based on information provided by external experts who offer disposal services, as well as CNSC staff experience. $3,000 was the factor associated with any sealed source or radiation device. This includes ultimate disposal of the material as well as interim storage, pending a ruling from the Federal Court of Canada on the ultimate fate of this material. $4,000 was the factor associated with each room or laboratory where open source material is used. This would include removal and storage of any open source material, as well as confirmation that the rooms met the prescribed levels for return to public use. Additionally, there was a $10,000 administrative fee that was meant to cover direct costs of CNSC staff performing associated compliance and licensing activities if a financial guarantee was called upon. And finally, the model recognized there was a distinct difference between public institutions and private enterprises. Public institutions are backed by some level of government, and the same government would ensure the proper termination of licensed activities. As part of the consultation process, CNSC staff from the Directorate of Nuclear Substance Regulation and Finance and Administration Directorate conducted unprecedented outreach across Canada. This outreach was conducted between September and November 2011 with 21 presentations coast to coast, as well as offering 4 webinars for those who are unable to attend an in-person meeting. These presentations were designed to familiarize licensees with the proposed financial guarantee program and to encourage licensees to make their comments known related to the proposed program. The comment period closed November 30th, 2011. In the consultation period, 87 comments were received from individuals and organizations, as well as informal comments received through the outreach sessions. Based on comments received through the outreach sessions and the formal consultation process, it was clear that licensees understood their regulatory obligations. However, there was a lack of support for the approach as presented in the discussion paper. Comments from stakeholders illustrated a number of concerns related to the program fundamentals that included the requirement potentially for large amounts of money to be tied up. There was a lack of history of occurrence to justify having such a large amount of money potentially tied up as either cash or credit. There would be an overriding negative impact on business as a result of large amounts of money being tied up, or the impact it could simply have on the ability of a licensee to borrow money. And the formula did not consider low-risk situations such as small radioactive check sources or short half-life material. In part, based on feedback, CNSC staff also undertook a review of the associated cost factors presented in the discussion paper. CNSC staff identified a number of areas that, from a risk-informed principle, presented a different risk scenario with respect to health and safety and the financial guarantee program. CNSC staff determined that sealed sources or devices containing less than 50 megabecquerels of a nuclear substance presented less of a radiological risk. As a result, these types of sources or devices, which include check sources, would not be considered as part of the financial guarantee program. Rooms or labs that use exclusively short-lived isotopes would also not be considered as part of the financial guarantee program. This type of nuclear substances would auto-remediate after approximately 10 half-lives, and based on this, CNSC staff determined that rooms or laboratories where nuclear substances with half-lives of 72 hours or 3 days or less is used exclusively would not be part of the financial guarantee program. CNSC staff also determined that the CNSC administrative fee would be removed and any costs associated would be borne by CNSC while conducting licensing and compliance work. Finally, in addition to what was indicated above, CNSC staff have also identified self-shielded radiators as devices that would not fit the financial guarantee model. Self-shielded radiators are large devices that are used principally in medical and research world, and they contain very large amounts of cesium-137. Due to the size of these devices and the large quantity of nuclear substances present, the cost to dispose of these items is estimated at $90,000 per device. All other factors described in the discussion paper remain unchanged. As a result of the comments received as part of the consultation process, as well as informally through the outreach sessions, CNSC staff undertook a review of the alternative approaches to financial guarantees. All alternatives had to respect the principles of certainty, liquidity, adequacy, and continuity of value. The objectives had to provide coverages for possible liability that would not require sequestering of funds and would minimize financial impact on licensees. With these objectives in mind, CNSC staff worked closely with industry groups to consider alternatives. As part of the review of additional financial instruments, CNSC staff identified 4 possible instruments that broadly met the requirements. The 4 financial instruments were chosen, and the advantages and disadvantages are highlighted here. An initial liability of $50,000 was assumed, and the 4 instruments identified were, from the top left counterclockwise, letters of credit, bonds, licensee subscribed insurance, and CNSC insurance. The annual cost of these instruments ranged from $250 to $2,000. After careful consideration of each of the instruments, comparing the strengths and cost of each, it was the determination of CNSC staff that CNSC Insurance offered the best value and flexibility. It is the model that CNSC staff is recommending as a financial tool that can be used by licensees to meet the requirements of financial guarantees. In response, in part, to feedback received from licensees and stakeholders, CNSC staff is presenting a new model of financial guarantees for holders of nuclear substances and Class II nuclear facility licenses. It is important to note that this new model does not replace the model currently being used by nuclear power plants and other facilities, which continues to be robust and entirely suitable for that sector. This model, that is referred to as CNSC Insurance with the CNSC as the sole insured party. This is not group insurance, but it's an insurance plan to cover the direct costs to the Crown as a result of the CNSC having to exercise its regulatory authority to protect the health and safety of persons and the environment as a result of taking control of licensed material and ensuring this material is properly disposed of. The identifiable solutions or situations where this may occur are financial impairment or of the license or of the CNSC taking regulatory action. The cost of this program will be borne entirely by fee-paying licensees. Licensees that meet the requirement of Section 2 of the cost recovery regulations, such as hospitals, universities, government departments, will meet the requirements through the mechanism outlined in the discussion paper. The terms of the insurance policy are outlined here. Over the 24 months of the policy, the maximum claim is $1 million per claim or claims. CNSC staff consider this adequate and sufficient level of coverage. For interim storage, for situations where CNSC is required to store licensed material pending a decision on disposition from the Federal Court of Canada, $250,000 in addition to the $1 million indicated above. The premium, which will be recovered from licensees, is 0.4437 of the assessed liability of approximately $54 million. There is no deductible. The cost to a licensee will range from a minimum of $25 to $4,437 for a $1 million liability. A licensee with a liability greater than $1 million will pay $4,437, and CNSC staff will risk manage these cases. This policy is for the safe termination of licensed activities, which includes storage, processing, transport, decontamination, and disposal of licensed material. This is an example how, from the discussion paper, would be applied to a licensee who has 4 rooms where open source material is used, 3 devices, and 5 sealed sources. 4 rooms are assessed at $4,000 each, 3 devices at $3,000 each, 5 sealed sources also at $3,000 each, plus, if you remember, the CNSC administrative fee of $10,000. This licensee would have a calculated liability of $50,000. This licensee would have been expected to have a financial surety to cover the liability with approximate annual costs of $750 plus resulting impact on business assets. Now, using the same licensee scenario as presented in the previous slide, all factors are the same, except the CNSC administrative fee has been removed. This has the result of reducing the liability from $50,000 to $40,000. Based on the insurance policy, the annual premium for the coverage of $40,000 can be calculated as $40,000 times 0.4437%, or $177.48, with no impact on business assets as a result. In this scenario, the licensee has 8 laboratories, of which 3 exclusively use nuclear substances with a half-life of less than 3 days or 72 hours. As part of the review of cost factors, CNSC has determined that laboratories or rooms where nuclear substances with half-lives of less than 3 days are used would not factor into the calculation. Thus, the number of laboratories that factor in the calculation are reduced by 3 to 5 at $4,000. The cost of to this licensee for the annual premium would be 0.4437% of $20,000, or $88.74. In this final example, we have a licensee with 12 irradiators. As part of the review of cost factors, CNSC staff has identified irradiators with their large radiation sources as an item that does not fit into the cost factors as put forward in the discussion paper. Based on information from a company that offers disposal services for these and similar devices, CNSC staff have determined the cost for disposal of an irradiator would be $90,000. Thus, 12 irradiators at $90,000 would be $1,080,000. However, the cap on any claim is $1 million, and as a result, the licensee would pay a maximum annual contribution of $4,437. Licensees that choose not to adopt this insurance approach to financial guarantees, or for who it does not fit, will be required to set up an alternate financial guarantee acceptable to the Commission. This will all be reviewed on a case-by-case basis by CNSC staff. All alternatives will have to respect the principles of certainty, liquidity, adequacy, and continuity of value. Public institutions that meet the requirements of Section 2 of the Cost Recovery Regulations will meet their obligations by recognizing and acknowledging the total liability for safe termination of licensed activities. This would be carried out simply through the use of a form supplied by the CNSC, which the institution could be used to calculate its liability and include a declaration that the liability is recognized by the institution's management. In conclusion, the Commission has the authority under subsection 24(5) of the Nuclear Safety and Control Act to impose a financial guarantee. The new model presented here today by staff is robust, flexible, and addresses comments made by stakeholders to the discussion paper through the consultation and outreach process. The new model is based on insurance, where the CNSC is the sole insured party and with the premium paid by fee-paying licensees. This program will provide licensees with a low-cost means to meet the obligation of a financial guarantee in a manner acceptable to the Commission. A licensee may choose to provide an alternate type of financial guarantee that is acceptable to the Commission. They may be considered on a case-by-case basis. Going forward, a license condition will be added to all licenses requiring a financial guarantee. CNSC staff, as part of this process, will provide licensees with information regarding the insurance-based approach as part of the required opportunity to be heard. CNSC staff will solicit stakeholder feedback by way of written submissions and disposition the written submission from stakeholders on this new approach and provide it to the Commission for its consideration. Thank you very much, and I'll now turn this back to Monsieur Leschambon.
Thank you. We're available for questions.
Thank you.